On the third floor of Pacific General Hospital, in the trauma unit, Nurse Jennifer, Doc Martinez was stitching up a deep cut on her patient's arm. 23-year-old Marcus Williams had been stabbed in the latest gang fight, brought to the emergency room covered in blood. As Jennifer's hands moved with surgical precision, her nurse uniform sleeve rolled up, revealing a 4-inch zigzag scar on her left forearm. Marcus recognized this type of wound immediately, because he was also an Afghanistan veteran. His eyes widened. "Nurse, this scar, this is shrapnel damage, isn't it?" Jennifer stopped, trying to cover the scar, but it was too late. Marcus's voice trembled. Are you that, Doc? The legendary Navy SEAL medic from Kandahar. My commander used to tell stories about you. Doc Martinez, he'd say, that woman pulled 47 soldiers back from death's door. Jennifer's face went ice cold. For 8 years, no one had known her true identity. She was about to say, "No, you're mistaken," when automatic gunfire erupted from downstairs. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. Then screams. Security alarms. Marcus whispered, "Gang retaliation. They're looking for me." Jennifer looked out the window. 6 armed men had stormed into the hospital lobby. There were 200 innocent patients, a children's ward, elderly people. And Jennifer Martinez was no longer going to hide. The transformation was instantaneous. The gentle nurse who had been carefully tending to Marcus's wounds became someone else entirely. Jennifer's posture straightened, her eyes sharpened, and her voice dropped to the calm, authoritative tone that had once commanded respect in the world's most dangerous combat zones. "Marcus," she said quietly, "how many floors do they need to climb to reach us?" 3, he replied, wincing as he tried to sit up. "But the elevators are already disabled. I can hear the emergency lockdown protocol." Jennifer moved to the window, assessing the situation with tactical precision. 6 hostiles, likely armed with assault rifles based on the sound signature. They're not here for random violence. They're here for you. Marcus's face went pale. "Doc, I can explain. Later." Jennifer was already moving, her hands automatically checking the medical supply cabinets. "Right now, I need to know, are there other exits from this floor?" "Emergency stairwell on the east side, but it's monitored. Service elevator in the back, but they'll have that covered too." Jennifer pulled out her phone, quickly scrolling through the hospital's digital floor plan. "How many patients on this floor?" 12 in trauma, 6 in recovery, maybe 20 visitors." Jennifer's mind was already calculating. 38 civilians to protect, 6 armed hostiles, 3 floors of tactical disadvantage. The old Jennifer Martinez, the Navy SEAL who had earned the nickname Doc for her ability to keep people alive under impossible circumstances, was taking control. "Marcus, listen carefully. You're going to help me save everyone on this floor, but I need complete honesty. Why are they here for you?" Marcus took a shaky breath. "I witnessed something. A drug deal gone wrong. The Serpientes gang killed a rival dealer, and I saw it happen. I was supposed to testify next week. And they followed you here to silence you." Jennifer nodded grimly. "That makes you both a target and an asset. They'll want you alive long enough to find out what you told the police." From below, they could hear shouting in Spanish, orders being barked with military precision. These weren't street thugs. These were organized criminals with combat experience. "Doc," Marcus said quietly, "my commander in Afghanistan, Captain Rodriguez, he said you saved his entire unit during the siege of Kandahar. Is that true?" Jennifer paused in her preparations. "Your commander exaggerated. I just did my job. He said you held off Taliban fighters for 6 hours while evacuating wounded soldiers. He said you killed 12 enemy combatants with a sidearm while performing surgery on his leg. Captain Rodriguez talks too much." But Jennifer's expression softened slightly. "How is he?" "Retired. Runs a security company in Texas. He'd flip if he knew I was here with the legendary Doc Martinez. The moment of connection was interrupted by the sound of heavy footsteps in the stairwell. Jennifer's demeanor shifted back to combat mode instantly. They're moving faster than expected. Time for your crash course in combat medicine. Jennifer began moving through the trauma unit with purposeful efficiency that would have impressed any military commander. She wasn't just a nurse anymore, she was a Navy SEAL preparing for battle in the most unlikely of war zones. Patient evacuation is priority 1, she told Marcus as she began gathering supplies. But we can't move them until we've neutralized the immediate threat. She pulled open a supply cabinet and began removing items that most people would see as medical equipment, but Jennifer saw as tactical tools. Surgical scissors became cutting implements. Scalpels became defensive weapons. Heavy medical equipment became barricades. Marcus, can you walk? Yes, ma'am. Good. I need you to quietly alert every conscious patient on this floor. Tell them to stay low, stay quiet, and be ready to move when I give the signal. Don't mention the gunman, we don't want panic. As Marcus moved carefully between patient rooms, Jennifer continued her preparations. She used her access card to lock down the floor's main entrance, activated the fire suppression system to create visual cover in the hallways, and began setting up what military tacticians would recognize as a defensive perimeter. From her years as a Navy SEAL medic, Jennifer knew how to think like both a warrior and a healer. Every decision had to serve both purposes: protect the innocent and neutralize the threat. Her phone buzzed with a text from hospital security: 6 armed subjects in building. SWAT en route. ETA 15 minutes. Avoid confrontation. 15 minutes. Jennifer almost smiled. In Kandahar, 15 minutes had been a lifetime. Here, with innocent patients depending on her, it would have to be enough. The sound of gunfire from the second floor indicated the hostiles were working their way up systematically, probably clearing each floor to ensure no witnesses and no escape routes. Jennifer's military training had taught her that the best defense was often an unexpected offense. But this wasn't Afghanistan. These were civilians, not soldiers. Her tactics would have to be different. She pulled out her phone and called the hospital's public address system. Attention, her voice echoed through the building, calm and authoritative. This is Nurse Martinez on the 3rd floor. To the individuals who have entered our hospital armed, you have entered a medical facility filled with innocent people. I am offering you one opportunity to leave peacefully. The gunfire stopped. In the sudden silence, Jennifer could hear Spanish voices arguing below. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Nurse Martinez. The voice was heavily accented, coldly professional. My name is Carlos Mendez. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Marcus Williams is under medical protection. He's a patient. He's a witness who needs to disappear. You have 2 choices: send him down, or we come up and take him. Either way, he comes with us. Jennifer looked at Marcus, who was listening to every word with growing fear. Mr. Mendez, I have a 3rd option for you. Which is? You leave my hospital immediately, and I don't demonstrate why the Navy SEALs gave me the nickname Doc. Silence on the other end. Then, you're bluffing. You're just a nurse. I'm a nurse now. But I wasn't always a nurse. And some skills you never forget. The line went dead. Jennifer knew she had perhaps 2 minutes before they resumed their advance. Time to show these gang members that they had made a serious tactical error. Marcus, take the patients in rooms 301 through 306 and move them to the supply closet at the end of the hall. It's the most reinforced space on this floor. What about you? I'm going to buy you time. Jennifer moved to the stairwell entrance, where she could hear footsteps approaching. Her hands found familiar positions on medical equipment that could serve dual purposes. A defibrillator unit became mobile cover. 4 stands became barriers. And her own body became the weapon she'd trained it to be for years in the world's most dangerous places. The stairwell door burst open, and 2 armed men entered with military precision. They were dressed in street clothes but moved like trained soldiers. Ex-military, Jennifer realized. This was going to be more challenging than typical gang violence. "Drop your weapons and surrender," one of them called out in accented English. "We only want the witness." Jennifer stepped into view, hands raised, looking every inch the frightened nurse. "Please don't hurt anyone. They're just patients." The men lowered their guard slightly, seeing exactly what they expected, a helpless healthcare worker. That was their mistake. Jennifer's first move was to hit the emergency lighting, plunging the hallway into semi-darkness illuminated only by exit signs. Her second move was to demonstrate why Navy SEALs are considered among the world's most elite fighters. The first gunman went down before he could process what was happening. Jennifer's movement was a blur of precise strikes targeting pressure points and nerve clusters. The second gunman managed to raise his weapon, but Jennifer was already inside his range, using techniques learned in close-quarters combat training. Both men were unconscious within 15 seconds. Jennifer quickly secured their weapons and zip-tied their hands with surgical tubing. "Doc." Marcus's voice came from the hallway. "Patient secured?" "Yes, ma'am. But there are still 4 more downstairs." Jennifer was already moving toward the stairwell. "Then we go to them before they come to us." What happened next would become legendary in law enforcement circles, though the full details would remain classified for years. Jennifer Martinez descended those stairs not as a nurse, but as Petty Officer First Class Martinez, Navy SEAL, returning to the battlefield after 8 years of civilian life. The remaining 4 gang members had made a tactical error, they had split up. 2 were securing the second floor, 2 were watching the exits. This gave Jennifer the advantage of taking them on individually rather than as a coordinated unit. Her first target was the lookout positioned near the main entrance. Using a combination of stealth movement learned in Afghanistan and intimate knowledge of the hospital's layout, Jennifer approached from an unexpected angle. The man never saw her coming. He was unconscious and zip-tied before his partner even realized something was wrong. The second man proved more challenging. When his partner failed to respond to radio checks, he began moving cautiously through the first floor, weapon ready, using proper military movement techniques. But Jennifer had advantages he couldn't anticipate. She knew this building like she'd once known the mountains of Afghanistan. Every room, every corridor, every potential ambush point. More importantly, she knew something he didn't. In her 8 years as a civilian nurse, Jennifer had never stopped training. Every morning before her shift, she ran 5 miles. Every evening after work, she practiced the combat skills that had kept her alive through 3 tours of duty. The engagement was brief but decisive. Using medical equipment as improvised weapons and the hospital's environment to her advantage, Jennifer neutralized the threat without firing a single shot. The 2 men on the second floor heard the commotion and began moving toward the sound. Jennifer was ready for them. What followed was a textbook example of urban combat tactics applied in a civilian environment. Jennifer used her knowledge of human anatomy, her understanding of battlefield medicine, and her experience in high-stress combat situations to systematically disable trained opponents who had expected to face helpless hospital staff. When SWAT officers arrived 15 minutes later, they found 6 unconscious gang members zip-tied with medical supplies, all weapons secured, and every patient and staff member safe and accounted for. They also found Nurse Jennifer Martinez calmly checking vital signs on a patient in the trauma unit, as if nothing unusual had happened. "Ma'am, we're going to need a statement about what occurred here today." Jennifer looked up from her patient chart. 6 armed individuals entered the hospital illegally. They were detained until proper authorities could arrive. Detained how? Citizens arrest. The SWAT commander, a veteran himself, studied the scene with growing amazement. 6 trained gunmen, all with military backgrounds according to initial intelligence, had been systematically defeated by hospital staff. Nurse Martinez, this is remarkable work. Do you have any military or law enforcement background? Jennifer exchanged a glance with Marcus, who was sitting nearby with his arm in a sling, grinning despite everything they'd been through. I may have some relevant experience, she said quietly. Later, as investigators were processing the scene, Marcus approached Jennifer one final time. Doc, why didn't you tell people? You could have been a hero all these years. Jennifer looked around the trauma unit at her colleagues, at the patients she'd protected, at the normal, peaceful medical environment she'd worked so hard to preserve. Marcus, I learned something important during my military service. The greatest victory isn't the battle you win. It's the battle you prevent. For 8 years, I've been preventing battles every day by healing people instead of fighting them. But today you had to fight. Today I had to protect. There's a difference. As the sun set over Pacific General Hospital, life slowly returned to normal. Patients were treated, families were reunited, and the trauma unit resumed its essential work of saving lives. But word spread quickly through certain circles. Veterans recognized the tactical precision of what had occurred. Law enforcement officials noted the professional-level combat skills demonstrated. Military personnel understood the significance of what they'd witnessed. Jennifer Martinez had revealed herself not just as a former Navy SEAL, but as something rarer, a warrior who had successfully transitioned to being a healer, but who retained the ability to protect when protection was needed. 6 months later, Jennifer received a letter from Captain Rodriguez, Marcus's former commanding officer in Afghanistan. Doc, it read, Marcus told me what happened at the hospital. I'm not surprised, but I am proud. You've always understood something that many warriors never learn, the greatest strength is knowing when not to use your strength. But when innocents are threatened, there's no one I'd rather have standing guard. The letter was accompanied by a news clipping about a new veterans program Jennifer had started at Pacific General Hospital, helping former military personnel transition to careers in healthcare. Some people are born to heal, she told a local reporter. Some people are trained to fight. But the most valuable people are those who understand that healing and protecting are the same mission, just with different tools. The reporter had asked about the hospital incident, but Jennifer had deflected with her usual grace. I just did what any healthcare worker would do. We protect our patients. What she didn't mention was that the 6 gang members, after their recovery and imprisonment, had all requested to speak with her. Each conversation was private, but the results were remarkable. 3 requested addiction treatment programs, 2 asked about educational opportunities, and 1 inquired about military service as a path to a better life. Even enemies can be healed, Jennifer told Marcus during one of his follow-up appointments. Sometimes the best way to defeat someone is to help them become someone better. Marcus, whose testimony had led to the conviction of several major gang leaders, had taken Jennifer's example to heart. He was now studying to become a paramedic, inspired by watching someone use their strength to protect rather than destroy. Doc, do you ever miss it? The action, the intensity? Jennifer looked around the trauma unit, where she was training new nurses, saving lives, and preventing the kinds of conflicts that had once defined her existence. Marcus, I get all the action and intensity one need right here. But now instead of taking lives, I'm saving them. Instead of creating widows, I'm reuniting families. Instead of fighting wars, I'm preventing them, one patient at a time. 2 years later, Dr. Jennifer Martinez, she had completed her medical degree through a special veterans program, stood before a graduating class of Navy SEAL medics at Coronado Naval Base. Your mission, she told them, isn't just to keep warriors alive in combat. Your mission is to understand that the skills you learn here, the precision, the calm under pressure, the commitment to preserving life, these skills will serve you long after your military service ends. She looked out at the young faces, remembering her own graduation from this same program years earlier. Some of you will become career military. Some will transition to civilian life. But all of you will carry forward the understanding that true strength isn't about what you can destroy. It's about what you can build, what you can heal, what you can protect. After the ceremony, a young female SEAL medic approached her. "Ma'am, I heard about what happened at the hospital. Is it true that you defeated 6 armed attackers using medical supplies?" Jennifer smiled. "I used everything I had learned, military and civilian, to protect innocent people. That's what we're trained for. Will you teach us?" "I already am. Every day, in every interaction, in every choice you make between violence and healing, you're learning the most important lesson of all, how to be a warrior in service of peace." That evening, Jennifer returned to Pacific General Hospital for the night shift. As she walked through the trauma unit, checking on patients and mentoring young nurses, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She had started as a warrior trained to fight. She had evolved into a healer committed to protecting. But most importantly, she had learned that the greatest battles are often won not with weapons, but with the decision to put down weapons and pick up instruments of healing. The night was quiet, peaceful. Just the way Jennifer Martinez, formerly Doc of the Navy SEALs, now Dr. Martinez of Pacific General Hospital, preferred it. Because sometimes the most heroic thing you can do is choose to save lives instead of taking them. And sometimes the greatest victory is the one where nobody has to die. In Trauma Bay 3, a new patient arrived, a young gang member who had been shot in a rival dispute. As Jennifer worked to save his life, using the same hands that had once wielded weapons to now wield healing instruments, she embodied the transformation that defines the very best of human nature. The warrior had become a healer. But when healers are threatened, sometimes the warrior must emerge again, not to destroy, but to protect the sacred work of saving lives. That's the true meaning of service. That's the real definition of strength. That's why, when people ask about the nurse who saved Pacific General Hospital, those who know Jennifer Martinez simply smile.